What is going on, IF Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today I'm in California, and I don't want to leave you guys hanging because of course I'm always dropping a video, like Sundays and Wednesdays. So I am definitely dropping a video today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my computer and look at some of the questions you guys have been asking me recently, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to answer some of those questions. I'm gonna try to get through as many as I can. Just to give you a little update, I'm in California working on something that you guys will definitely appreciate, but I'm not gonna go ahead and talk too much on that. Let's go ahead and get into the questions. Get my laptop here. I already have these questions here in front of me. Go ahead and answer 6 questions for you. So the first question comes from Charmaine Kong. And this person asks, can you do the 16-8 method and the OMAD method on different days during the week and on a flexible schedule? Yes, you definitely can. The thing about intermittent fasting is that it does help with, protecting fat-free mass, utilizing fat as energy so that you're mobilizing your body fat. But you want to understand that adherence is still probably the most paramount, most important thing that you need to focus on. Because if you don't have the adherence, then you're not going to do this in the long term, and that's the end goal. The end goal is I would even venture to say that it eclipses the intermittent fasting protocol itself. The fact that you want to find something that you can do comfortably for the rest of your life. So if you feel that doing 16-8, for example, Monday through Friday, and then maybe doing OMAD during the weekend, or flipping that and doing OMAD during the week, and because you're with family and stuff during the weekend, is easier for you to do the 16-8 method. And for those of you that don't know, 16-8 is eating, not eating for 16 hours, eating for within an 8-hour window, and OMAD is 1 meal a day, which generally tends to mean about 23 hours of not eating and then eating on the 24th hour, so just 1 hour of eating. Whatever is easiest for you to complete and stick to for the rest of your life is the one that you should do. If this is a method that works for you, and the fact that you're even asking me the question makes me feel that this is something that you want to do. So if you want to go ahead and do that, by all means, it should not affect you negatively in any way. You're still utilizing intermittent fasting, and there's studies that show the 16-8 method does phenomenal work, and there's study that shows the OMAD method does amazing work. So either way, you're golden. All right, so let's move on to the next question that comes from James George. James George asks, does 14/10 work? And by this he means, does 14 hours of fasting and just 10 hours of eating, does that work? And it can work. I would say that understand that what you're trying to do when you're doing intermittent fasting. Yeah, so you want to make sure that you get into this thing called the post-absorptive range or post-absorptive phase, and that tends to be different for everyone. There's a range that Dr. Stephen Anton was able to produce looking at 15 clinical trials, where he indicated that around the 8 to 12 hour mark is when you might see that post-absorptive range, or that metabolic flipping that metabolic switch, which is where you're now utilizing body fat as energy as opposed to the glucose that came from your previous meal. So if it takes around 8 to 12 hours, if you do that math, that quick math, and you're only fasting for 14 hours, and let's say, worst case scenario, you're 12 hours, it takes you about 12 hours, and remember, this is a range, it's not guaranteed, it might take you 13, 14 hours, then you're setting up a system where you're not utilizing fat, or you're not doing fat oxidation for a good amount of time. You're doing it for a very short amount of time. So the returns that you will get from it might not be as great as someone who's doing 16-8 or someone who's doing 20 versus 4 hours. So just keep that in mind. Yes, you may get some benefits from it. Autophagy, you're probably not going to get too much from autophagy, as autophagy just gets better and better the longer you go. And I think 14 hours is just too low of a time frame to get good autophagy benefits, but you'll get something, you'll get some fat oxidation, but I would recommend to increase it just a little bit, get into that 16-hour range. You could use it as a stepping stone to get into that 16-hour range, but try to eventually move at least to the 16-hour fasting window, especially since we don't really have any studies for 14 hours of fasting, but we do have a lot of studies out there, a lot of clinical trials for 16 hours of fasting. All right, so thank you for that, James George. Now we move on to the next question. What do I gain health-wise by fasting every day compared to, say, 5 days of fasting? Now, it is because of the compounding effect. It isn't the fact that, well, if you do 5 days and if you versus doing 7 days is better because you get this, this, and this. All those times that you're fasting, every time that you fast, you'll get certain, health elements that come: autophagy, reduction in inflammation, reduction in free radical damage based on the cells, things like that. Those are things that happen when you fast. If you do it 5 days, you'll receive those benefits those 5 days. If you do it 4 days, you'll receive them 4 days. If you want to do it 7 days to receive it 7 days a week, then you can go ahead and do that. If it's better for you, however, to fast for 5 days and not fast for 2 days, because you will be able to adhere to it, and this takes us back to the adherence part, then you could go that route. It's all about what can you do in the long run, and if this is something that makes it easier for you to do, then yes. But just keep in mind, if you wanted to fast every day, there isn't a health advantage or a health detriment to doing it every day or not doing it every day. It's whatever suits you. All right, thank you for that, David Petrowski. It's a nice question. All right, so we are moving on to silence exposed. Now, this isn't really a question, but I did want to tackle this because I don't know how many people felt this way, and it kind of threw me off when I read it. So what Silence Exposed wrote was, why the misleading video image? He's talking about this image right here. He wrote, you make it seem like intermittent fasting increases your muscle mass. Clearly you worked out, which was the main reason for your physique, not the fasting. It helps just like eating right helps and sleeping right helps. Now, if you look at this picture again here, I don't know why anyone would take the fact that I had this transformation happen and take that as this was based solely off of intermittent fasting. If anyone received that, if anyone got that vibe from this video, which I don't know why anyone would, I definitely do apologize, but I'm not saying that you can get muscles simply by doing nothing but intermittent fasting. I've always promoted making sure you work out, and intermittent fasting allows things like protection of fat-free mass, as seen in the 15 clinical trials that Dr. Stephen Anton was researching. It's the elements that you're combining with other elements to create a physique like this or a transformation like this. Intermittent fasting is something that you use that makes things help you get to places like this, but it isn't the only thing that you're supposed to do. Resistance training is automatically something that must happen for you to build muscle. That's just 100% the case. So if anyone had that idea or thought that I was misleading you in any way, shape, or form, I do apologize, because I definitely was not. Next question is from Laura Cluey. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the last name, Cluey. Can you eat rice cakes on OMAD, keto, IF, or the warrior diet? Now, quickly, if you're in your eating window, you can, but if you're doing keto, you can't, because rice cakes, it has a lot of carbs in them, and in the keto diet, it's a very low carb, very high fat diet. So for keto, you can't. For OMAD, for intermittent fasting, which is part of that, and the warrior diet, which is also part of that, you can do that, but understand that you still have to be at a caloric deficit to lose weight. What intermittent fasting helps you do, it helps you create a caloric deficit and make it easier for you, and it also tackles body fat predominantly over all other energy sources in your body. So you still gotta be at a caloric deficit. You can eat rice cakes as long as you're in a caloric deficit, but you can't do it when doing the keto diet. All right, so we're going on to the last question by Literally Figurative. So oxymoron name there. Should I do IF if I'm already lean and mainly want to build muscle. You actually can if you want. I do recommend when doing something like this using the 16-8 method so that you can get as much time as you can to eat as much food as you can so that you can be at that caloric surplus, because calories still a thing. Calories are still scientifically the source that will gain weight, or the source that you would need to reduce to lose weight. So yeah, if you focus on getting a longer eating window, or a bigger eating window, a shorter fasting window, but then still getting the benefits of like fat-free mass, which is super important because that's the muscle tissue. That's where the muscle tissues lie, in that fat-free mass location. Tackling body fat but retaining muscle, those are things that you want to do. Protecting muscles are things that you want to do when trying to build muscle, because it makes perfect sense. If you're building it but then you're losing it, or whatever the case may be, you want to put your body in the best position to retain it. So if you do the 16-8 method, which is the one that I always recommend when you're bulking, then it will definitely help you. That's the reason why Martin Berkhan, the person who created the 16-8, or named it the lean gains method, because you're gaining muscle, but you're gaining it in a more cleaner way, where you're kind of mitigating the body fat a little bit and also protecting the muscle tissue itself. So that is the question, guys. Thank you very much. And of course, as always, I do want to put the lovely, beautiful patrons from my Patreon up on the screen. Alright guys, and as always, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. And of course, I'll be in my office shooting. I do apologize for being at the hotel room, but doing things for you guys, pushing to build the channel stronger and stronger and stronger, so that you guys can get better content. It's all about you. So once again, I'll see you guys on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace.